Hello all. So I need to change the oil on this 2019 Toyota Corolla, so I thought I'd do a video on it and how you can go about doing it. So there's a few things you're going to need, not many. Going to need oil, and the type it uses is 0W20 synthetic. So you get different types. I got Castrol, but they got Mobile One. Any type that you prefer. The main thing is that it says 0W20 on it, and it's synthetic. And then you're going to need a filter. And there's different types of filters too. I got this Bosch 3311, which is one of the better filters. I'll put the links in the description if you need if you want to look at any of this. But they're real cheap. You can get them on. I got these on Amazon or any auto parts store also. And you're going to need a 14 millimeter wrench to bolt off the oil pan. And you need a drain bucket, and you're going to need a way to pour the oil back in. I couldn't find my small filter, so I got to use this big long one here. But it's just to go pour the oil back in. And sometimes the filter can be on there tight. It shouldn't be on there too tight. Most of the time you could pull it off by hand if you could really crank on it. But if it is on there tight, you're going to need like an oil filter wrench or a big pair of pliers. And there's different types. I usually use this. These are pretty common with Toyota in the past. On this, it doesn't have the canister type oil filter. It has the standard older type. So the older ones used, I have a 2012, and you have to use this because it's inside a canister. It's using these external types. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started, and I'll show you how it's done. Okay, so underneath the car, once you get the car up in the air, I got it up on these jacks over here. Once you get it up, if you look straight in, it'll be right here to the left is the oil pan. So hopefully you can see in here good. Here's the oil filter, and here's the oil pan. We got to take this bolt off. There's also the transmission over here. If you don't get them confused, this is the transmission. It'd have a separate one like that. This is the oil pan right here, and it's right next to the oil filter, so they're easy to not get confused. So I'm gonna go ahead and break this bolt loose right here, which is a 14. And these bolts and filter, they don't need to go on real super tight. They just need to be pretty good in there. So when you go to put them back on, don't ever crank on these super tight. Well, once I let this out, the oil is going to come out, so I got my bucket ready. And I'm just going to let that drain until it completely comes out. Okay, and for this filter, it just turns counterclockwise like any bolt. I got this right here, but it doesn't look like it's tight enough to, it's not small enough. Like I said, you can use a big pair of pliers or something. But if you have something like this, just put a rag over it. And just get it started to turn. And you can just spin it out counterclockwise like that. There's also these, like I said, there's different types of that you can put on it. You just put a 5/8 or whatever that is, and then you could spin it off this way too. Like I said, I'll put these links in the description if you want to check these out if you don't have one, but basically it. Just screw it out and let it drain. And here's the old one. And so to get these new ones ready, just so make sure that it doesn't leak around here, you just want to take a little bit of oil off of this old one. Just put it around this gasket. That just helps it to seal a little bit better. And this one's ready to screw back in. I'm just going to screw this one back in clockwise. And like I said, these don't need to be super tight. So I just grab a rag and I just turn it on as good as I can get it hand tight. That's as tight as these really need to be. They don't need to be cranked on there or nothing. So just hand tighten it as good as you can. And so next is to put the bolt back in the oil pan. And we just want to crank on it a little bit. We don't, like I said, you don't want to over tighten these. So just get it in there snug. It's not going to go nowhere. I'm not pulling on it very tight. Just making sure it's snug. I'm going to check everything for leaks too, which is what we want to do. So that's basically it down here. Now we got to put oil in and then test it. So I'm going to go up on top. Okay, so I got the hood open to put the oil in. And if you look right here, just right on the top, here's the dipstick to check the oil. And right here is where you put the oil in. As you can see, it says 0W20. So just double check that. All these vehicles should be that way. And spin it off. And there's much smaller oil spouts than this. I can't find my small ones. I got to use this big one. So I'm going to have to put the phone down as I do this, but I'm basically just going to put it in, and it's going to take the whole thing, which I believe the book says 4.88 quarts, and this is 5 quarts. So always double check what you're doing, but these 1.8s hold 4.88 quarts, so you could actually just leave a small amount. Don't pour in this little small amount if you want to, but I'm going to pour the whole thing in, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I got it filled back up with oil, and you could always verify by pulling out the dipstick and checking it. I'm not going to be able to do this very good with one hand. But as long as it's between that high dot is where it should be closest to. If it goes below that low dot, then you're running low on oil. So after you change it, I don't know if you can't see that on here, but it should be up close to that higher dot there. That's basically it. If you pour in 5 quarts of oil, it's going to be. Okay, so all that's left, that's basically it. All that's left is to start it up and check for any leaks. Basically, when you start it up, I always just double check, make sure there's nothing leaking. And you're going to have that maintenance required light on, so I'll show you how to shut that off real quick. As soon as I shut this hood, I'll be right back. And after you change the oil, you're going to have the maintenance required light. You need to reset that. So what you want to do is you want to turn the vehicle off, make sure it's off. And you're going to want to turn the key until it goes into accessory. So 2 times. 1, 2. And right here on this odometer button, you want to go to trip A until it says trip A up here. So we're going to go, there's trip A. Hopefully you can see that. It says trip A. And then we're going to turn the key off. And then I need to hold the button and go into accessory again. So, okay, so I'm going to hold the button down. And then I'm going to turn the ignition into accessory. And it's going to say resetting maintenance data. So you just keep holding the button. And then, okay, it's gone. And you just let go. And then that'll be it. We're going to start it. And your maintenance light should be gone. So that's it. Hopefully this video has helped you. If it does, please click like, please click subscribe, and have a good day.